live, I think. Uh, I really wanted to have my regular recording mic set up for this, but it is a case of the Mondays and has decided not to cooperate. So it's back to the old set of AirPods. The newer AirPods that may or may not have been through the wash, so came across a bit muddy last time. I don't know if it's going to pick up the cats in the background, but anyways, that's not why you're here. So, uh, I might have this be like a regular live stream podcast series thing, but I want to take a look at the box office numbers for the weekend and maybe get into talking about what I have planned for the channel next. So let's start with Box Office Mojo. Uh, in case you don't know, they're owned by Amazon, and it seems like they're paying themselves for advertisement, which I find hilarious. But I really wanted to check the box office specifically for Indiana Jones because I heard, yeah, 60 million. So I know a lot of people will hear 60 million as a box office gross and be like, oh, that's a boatload of money. I'd give anything to have that money. And it's like, well, that's true. But when you consider that Indiana Jones probably took 150 to 200 million to make and an additional 100 million to market, and that whatever number is shown here, the studio only gets maybe half of, depending on the negotiation. 60 million for opening weekend is not a lot. That's in theory, the rule of thumb would be 30 million that Disney made from this movie, when they probably spent close to 300 million on it. It's not a good sign. I actually might do a video on how how theater revenues are calculated and how film accounting is really sketchy. Uh, Actually, no. Even that sounds boring even to me. Uh, Now we got here. We have 2.5 hours. This is opening weekend, and it's in the full 4,600 theaters. So in the United States, at least, I think that's about what we have in the U.S. in terms of the amount of theaters. Uh, that might be counting international theaters, though, because I remember the U.S. had 4,600 pre-COVID, and I have no doubt that that number is less uh, since COVID, but who knows? A question for another day. Now, okay. So yeah, the bulk of it came in on Saturday, which makes sense. Saturday is kind of the big box office day, with the stragglers coming in on Sunday. Now, do they have anything for the foreign, or excuse me, international? Uh, Shoot. Okay, so in total, we're looking at 152 worldwide so far, which I'm guessing it might already be counting today. It might already be counting the pre-screenings. I know that a bunch of people got their reviews up like a week ago, despite the fact that it wasn't in theaters in my area up until this past weekend, and I'm guessing most places. But, it's just, I have a video coming out on Indiana Jones, and I won't spoil the whole thing, but the thesis is let Indiana Jones just go. And the only way that Disney will let that happen is if uh, Dial of Destiny doesn't make much money. And that's looking to be the case. And so, in a sense, I'm happy that, the property won't be butchered for more money. On the other hand, it's sad that it's come to this. Again, the full video, I'll go into, my normal detail about it. But, yeah, it's just a dumb situation, you know? Okay. Now, there's some other movies that I want to check the box office gross for as well. Let's see if they even. Wait a minute. Oh, wait, no, that's the dailies. Oh, no, even. I wanted to check The Flash. Is it really not even in the top five for the weekend? Wow, look at that. yeah, that. Okay, no, one thing at a time. Let's go with the Flash. Uh, oof. Oh no. Yeah, like picture a lot of the stuff that I said for Indiana Jones, and it goes double for the Flash. This movie has been in production hell for a long, long time, and they've had to get really creative with the marketing because what people don't realize, or maybe they do, a lot of film marketing involves cast interviews and where they do a wired autocomplete interview. That's all marketing expense. Uh, and they couldn't really do that with The Flash because, the controversy with Ezra Miller. And so maybe their marketing budget wasn't a lot for this movie, you know, but we're probably looking at 250 to 300 budget, like production budget. Uh, and actually, I remember when this project first started, I think the first set of directors was, their names escape me now, but they would go on to make the Dungeons and Dragons movie that just came out, which I really enjoyed. I wish I could remember their names, but anyways, globally, Flash is 250 generously. There's no way this movie's making money. There's no way. That's. Uh, Dang. We'll talk about a steep decline. Like it's almost all negatives except for the second weekend. Huh. And I get that this looks like it's just tracking the domestic, but still, man, actually, this is something that's worth discussing. Because The Flash would be an example of what the business would call a tentpole film. A tentpole film is it's a safe blockbuster. You pour a lot of money to make it, but you know it's going to make a lot of money in return. And you count on the profit of those tentpole films to fund the smaller ones, at least in theory. I think the WGA strike and probably the soon-to-be SAG-AFTRA strike is showing that maybe not all those profits are going to other projects, and instead they're just going to executives' pockets. Again, a topic for another day. Now, what else is there to say about The Flash, really? I don't think there is, really. I know that, for the new CEO, he was really behind this movie, and it would be the first tentpole film of his tenure. David Zaliev? I actually don't know how to say it out loud. I've only ever read the name. Uh, so, in terms of his career so far, it's a black mark, I guess, but I think anybody who says that is not really looking at the full context. Because the Flash movie has been in production since Zack Snyder still worked for DC. Like, it's been that long. Like, it's basically gone through three different regimes at Warner Brothers and two different owners at this point. So I can't really place the blame on him. I mean, he went through the hire of, or he went through the task of purging Warner Brothers' old regime and putting James Gunn and his buddy in place. Uh, ugh, it's just another shame of a situation, really, because if you watch my video in The Flash, you'll know that I have my problems with it, but controversy aside, I really liked Ezra Miller as the character, and uh, like, it's not a wonder to me that, I love movies, I love them with all my heart, but it's not a wonder to me that people are less interested in them because, like, so much of this politics crap is getting in the way, and that's. I think it should be about the story, but you know, it is what it is. Okay, let's check a few other movies because I'm actually I'm both delighted and surprised that Spider-Verse is still going. Uh, I did a short a little while ago where I was like, do you think Spider-Verse is going to be the box office king? Do you think it's going to surpass Mario? Because Mario is probably going to remain the box office king and could go across the Spider-Verse toplet. With this number, I don't think it will, but this is definitely not a failure. Uh, because yeah, again, you cut it roughly in half. That's about 300 million. This movie cost about 200 to make, plus another 100. You know, like 100 to market, just as for instance. From that lens, it's barely profitable. But you know, again, those are rule of thumbs for a reason. You know, every project is going to be different, and we're almost never going to get a real answer on things like marketing. Uh, the budget for this movie was a big marketing PR point because it is the largest animated production in history, or at least largest completed production. About, I think it was 160 people working on it and a budget of about 220 million. The previous record holder for that, I believe, was Disney's Tangled. But again, that's an odd edge case because that was another movie that was in production hell. Uh, but you know, this is a Across the Spider Verse is a case where it's a damn good movie, and I'm happy to see it successful. Kind of surprised, but delighted all the same. Now, this is actually the first time I've taken a peek at Elemental here because the disparity here is it's not like I remember I did another short where it's like both The Flash and Elemental are bombing at the box office, but Elemental is at number three at the moment. Uh, 30 million. Yeah, that's not a great opening, but yeah, and 200 million is not. It should be fine, but Disney has some. Disney kind of shafts Pixar in a lot of ways. They hold them to higher standards when their original projects come out, and yet they don't give them the same amount of marketing. Not nearly as much as their own in house features, with the exception of Pixar sequels. Like Lightyear was marketed into oblivion, um, all for a mediocre movie. And Elemental I saw, and I actually think it's pretty, it's enjoyable. It's not one of their better films, uh, but it doesn't deserve to be this low. And ever since the pandemic, there's been talks and fears amongst the Pixar staff that Disney is going to shut them down for not being a profit machine like it used to. Uh, and so that's why I think they're developing a lot. They're going to be developing more sequels now, is to make sure that they, stay out of that range. But it shouldn't have to be like this. As long as you budget a project sensibly, uh, knowing that maybe the idea isn't going to make as much money, it can still be profitable. We see this with the independent scene all the time, where it's like, hey, if you market an independent movie, right, where the marketing and production budget are, $1 million each, it can still very much make more than that in the box office or even on a streaming deal. But, Disney Disney has their own way of doing things, and even though for a while it looked like they were flexible in their approach when they started acquiring Pixar, acquiring Marvel, acquiring Lucasfilm, acquiring Fox, I think it's increasingly showing that they'll give those acquisitions some leeway, but after a while they'll go enough's enough. You'll do it our way or the highway. And again, just sad. I think that's going to be the stream title for this one is just sad. I'm saying that a lot. Teenage Kraken. Now, this is another one that interests me because this is its opening weekend as well. And it's a DreamWorks one, which I expected to do at least better than this. But look at it's uh it's really on a packed weekend when you think about it. Like it would excuse me, it'd be competing with Indiana Jones. Spider Verse just came out. Pixar just came out with Elemental. Like I don't know what they were thinking releasing when they did. And don't get me wrong, I haven't seen this movie, and I don't think it's gonna be particularly great. But I do love the tongue in cheek of it all, where we just got a Little Mermaid movie that was sparked some interesting conversations, to put it absolutely mildly. Uh, and then DreamWorks comes out with a movie where the villain is definitely Ariel. Uh, you know, I appreciate, the wink, wink, nudge, nudge nature of it all. Uh, Still, uh, I never expected it to do like well, but I expected better than this for an opening weekend, and it's that's. Mm-mm. All right, is there anything else that's open? Actually, timeout. Guardians Volume 3 is still in the top 10. That's a little over a month old, right? Oh, well, it's basically 2 months old. It's July 3rd as we're recording this, I think. 8:35. Okay, so we're talking we're talking better than Ant-Man and the Wasp, uh, Quantumania, but uh, that's interesting. I figured that Guardians 3, Marvel was on such a kick for a long time where, you know, if you released a Marvel movie, it'd be in the billion dollar club, guaranteed. Uh, but looks like that trend has been bucked, and that's going to be interesting. Uh, Marvel was, arguably still is, very much drinking their own Kool-Aid. Uh, and we'll see if this will be their first shakeup. Who knows, though? Like, Marvel and their inner operations is so secret that we very rarely get a glimpse, uh, or at least a reliable one into it. They obviously talk about what they do, but that's through a PR filtered lens. I have one former classmate uh, who works in their offices in Atlanta. Uh, I think she's still there. Uh, but I don't talk to her frequently enough about it. Uh, I don't know. This is just one of those wait and see situations. I know that they just pushed the two Avengers movies, so something's going on, and they fired that executive that caused a stir. Eh, From a business perspective, I kind of have to keep my eye on Marvel, but on the other hand, like, my passion just isn't there anymore. Like, when they started releasing Disney Plus series on a freaking fire hose, and, you know, I think they started off strong with WandaVision. That's my favorite one by far. But the other ones just, they aren't it. They aren't it. They did not do it for me. Some of them, like Moon Knight, I was very familiar with the character and just disappointed with how things went. Other characters that I wasn't familiar with, like Miss Marvel, where I'm like, all right, wow me. And, you don't have to be bad to be disappointing. You know what I mean? For a while, Marvel, you would I'd go into the theater and be wowed and I'd be amazed. I'd be intrigued. But, it seems like that era might be past. Uh, if they could turn it around, that's all I want. Because the more good movies, the more good entertainment, the better. But I don't know. My faith is not what it used to be. No Hard Feelings is number four, basically getting carried by Jennifer Lawrence. Uh, Transformers: Rise of the Beast. I don't know why that's still on here. How much did that make in total? 300. Okay, so it's not it's not last night levels of flop, but I wouldn't say it's doing great. 3 weeks. It it has some room to grow, but I don't picture it going too much longer. Transformers is in another weird spot, but I think that's a discussion for another day. Jeez, I don't know why, but my throat is already starting to give up. I used to be able to string words together like a dream. Little Mermaid is still on here as well, actually. Let's see, what was it in total gross? Now this is interesting. Um, if memory serves, with a lot of these Disney live action remakes, the international was very, very strong, much stronger than the domestic. But they're pretty close, but the domestic is winning out. Hmm. And I'm thinking of like Aladdin or Maleficent or The Lion King, where, again, billion dollar club movies. Uh, that's not it. This is not it. I'm actually kind of shocked. Hmm. I saw this movie and I didn't particularly. I don't think it's bad. It was just boring, kind of deal. A lot of the cases with these Disney live action remakes, I think. Uh, but Little Mermaid, it's one of the more popular ones from the Disney Renaissance era, and I expected it to be pretty good, but this this isn't it. I don't know if you can hear that, but the lawn people are next door. Well, if they're getting to work, then that probably means I should get back to work, huh? So, that is the box office for this week, I guess. It's pretty sad. Oh, come on. All right, I'll wrap up. Uh, this week's box office, pretty sad. That's the theme. That's probably going to be the title of the thumbnail. I'll, I think I will do this again next week. This is actually kind of fun. Although I think I'll not incorporate, but like do more than just the box office. If you have any thoughts on what you'd like to see, let me know in the comments. Until the next time, take care.